Hi and welcome back to Meaningful Money. My name is Pete Matthew and I'm a chartered financial planner based here in the UK. I've been doing my job for 26 years and I've walked through many different budgets and tax regimes with my clients. So it's budget day today, so I thought I would knock up a very quick and dirty video responding to the Chancellor's statement and giving you some ideas as to what I think you might need to think about in light of what she said. Now, a couple of things to mention. I am on holiday, so this is the place we're staying in the Cotswolds currently, and also I am sick as a dog, so I'll try not to cough and splutter and, snook at you down the microphone, but just bear with me, okay? So what I want to do is kind of summarize the main points of the budget from a personal finance point of view. So, I'm going to avoid the stuff about growth. I'm not going to talk about the sin taxes, all that sort of stuff, just particularly the taxation and pension stuff, and then think about what it might mean for your planning. I'm almost certainly going to follow this up with a perhaps more thought through video pretty soon, but I'm also going to be doing a live Q&A into the YouTube channel at 7:30 on Monday the 4th of November. So subscribe to the channel if you're not already and hit the bell notification so that you get a notification when that video goes live. Let's deal with the everyday taxes first. And as individual taxpayers, Labour appear to have stuck to their manifesto promises not to increase income tax, national insurance or VAT on the individual. And also importantly, income tax thresholds are now going to rise after 2028. So, like the personal allowance and then the higher rate and additional rate thresholds, those have been frozen for a while. And if you freeze a threshold, then as wages rise, more and more people pay more tax. It's a phenomenon called fiscal drag. But the Chancellor is committed to raising the different income tax thresholds from 2028. They're currently frozen until then anyway. She's keeping that freeze, but will raise those thresholds from 2028. That's a good thing. Now, if you're an employer, not such a good day for you and for me. I employ 20 people. So national insurance for employers is rising to 15%. It's currently 13.8%. And they are reducing the threshold at which it applies from 9,100 down to 5,000. So any earnings over 5,000, employers are going to pay NI on at a higher level. Now, she acknowledged the impact that's going to have on small businesses. So she more than doubled the employment allowance from 5,000 up to 10,500. So that will mean, I think, something like 865,000 employers won't pay any national insurance at all. So there is a sort of an acknowledgement that the increase in the rate and the drop of the threshold will hurt employers. There's no doubt about that. Interestingly, that she kind of framed the discussion about employers' NI in terms of encouraging entrepreneurship and things like that. So she kind of softened the blow. Not 100% sure that worked. Also, if you're a limited company, corporation tax has been capped at 25% for the duration of the current parliament. So at least we know where we are on that score. So let's talk about capital gains tax. As investors, this is really important. Currently, CGT rates are 10 and 20%, depending on whether any gains you make you a basic rate or a higher rate or above taxpayer. But those rates change as of today, the 30th of October 24, going up to 18% and 24% respectively. So they are aligning them with the CGT rates on property. That's all happening from today, but there are a couple of reliefs which are quite useful as investors. You've got investors relief, which applies to non-listed shares, and then business asset disposal relief, which applies to shares in the company that you own and run. Now, those are rising over the next couple of years. So they're 10% now. At April 2025, the business asset disposal relief rate and investors relief rate will go up to 14%. And then from April 2026, it'll go up to 18%. Annoyingly, and I think this is a real misstep, there is no changes to the annual exempt allowance on capital gains tax. So currently you can only gain £3,000 per year before CGT applies. I mean, that's like a paltry amount. I would have hoped that if they were putting the rate up, they would increase the annual exempt allowance, but they haven't, which is a shame. One thing she did mention is that the Enterprise Investment Scheme and the VCT rules are set to stay, at least for the time being. Moving now to inheritance tax, the nil rate bans are frozen now till 2030. They were already frozen till 2028, but she's extended that a couple of years. Now, there are two reliefs, business property relief and agricultural property relief. So if you've got assets that qualify for those reliefs, they are currently exempt from inheritance tax altogether. But those reliefs are being made worse. So under the new rules, which stays this way, I think, until 2026, stays the current regime until 2026. But under the new rules from April 2026, the first £1 million is still tax-free. And then thereafter, there is a 50% relief on inheritance tax. So essentially, you'll pay inheritance tax at 20%, not 40%. But right now, you pay it at 0% on no matter how big the asset is. So this is definitely making the APR and BPR regimes worse. Some of you may know that investment in AIM shares currently qualifies for business property relief. That's not happening anymore, or at least not from April 2027. So investments in AIM shares will get a 50% relief on their inheritance tax. So again, you'll pay inheritance tax at 20%, not 40%. But right now, as long as you hold them for 2 years before you die, you don't pay anything. So definitely that's being made worse as well. But easily the biggest change, I think, is on pensions, and it kind of speaks to the inheritance tax thing as well, because pensions will be subject to inheritance tax, but not until April 2027. So we got some time to plan around that. I have said on here before that I wonder if they may bring in something like a pension nil rate band. So like an additional tax-free amount. So only your pension fund over, say, $250,000 or $500,000 would be subject to inheritance tax. They have not done that. So the full amount of your unused pension fund when you die will fall into the inheritance tax regime from April 2027. I think this was an inevitable change. Pensions have become more useful as a vehicle for passing wealth down generations than they are for actually funding a retirement income. So this was very low-hanging fruit from the Chancellor. There was no doubt she was going to do this. So no great surprise. She's just gone a little bit further than I thought, because I kind of hoped there would be a pension nil rate band. But there isn't. State pension confirmed as going up by 4.1% in April 2026, and the triple lock is staying. We knew that already. So those, I think, are the main points from a financial planning point of view. So, so what? What do we need to do about this? Well, CGT rates change now, so it's too late to do anything about that. But when it comes to pensions planning, inheritance tax planning, we have some time to think about how that might work and think about how we might optimize our estates and the split of assets between pensions and other policies and plans. So we've got time for that, so there's no need to panic. One thing I would do though is that if you're a business owner and you are planning to sell, you probably want to get that deal done before April 2025, because if you don't, instead of paying 10% on the first £1 million of that sale, you're going to be paying 14%. But other than that, I think she could have gone further. I can't say I'm delighted about this. It makes obviously quite a lot of work for me as a financial planner. I suppose that's a good thing. It keeps me in a job, but it just adds complication. What I long for is some kind of stability in the system. Now, Rachel Reeves says that that's what she's actually doing. Instead of tinkering and fiddling, she's making some difficult choices now, which she says should stay the course and put the country on a better footing. Now, we'll see about that, of course. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as we say. But we'll see whether the extra tax that she raises gets spent and used appropriately. On a side note, I thought Rachel Reeves delivered the speech superbly. I think I would have been cowering a little bit if I was on the opposite bench, because she was pretty withering about the Tories' history on financial management. She repeated the phrases often about, securing the economy, putting it on a firmer footing, all that sort of stuff, fixing the foundations. This is a government that's probably, unless they do something really stupid, going to be in power for a decade at least. So making unpopular decisions early on makes sense for them. They're going to have no issues getting them through. They'll be unpopular to start with, but by the time we get to the end of this parliament, maybe they are certainly hoping that these measures will start to bear fruit when it comes to election time. So as I say, there's a live video going out on Monday the 4th of November at 7:30 p.m. So join me for that. If you've got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them live. And I will follow up this with another video fairly shortly, once I've thought through the implications, read through the documents and everything. But for now, thanks for watching. Sorry about my voice. Sorry about the dodgy lighting and audio. But take care, don't panic. Be careful what you read in the media. All this stuff can be planned around to some degree. So stay tuned to Meaningful Money, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and thanks for watching. See you next time.